Hey, everybody, welcome in to the Lettermen Lounge. We are at Roosters on Olentangy River Road, the greatest place in the world, Columbus, Ohio, home of the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes. Just beat a top 10 opponent, undefeated Indiana, 42-35. What more needs to be said?
Exactly.
Right? Oh, probably a lot more because this is Lettermen Live. Trying to get used to this new set now that Schlegel is over here. It's
Debo
staring me down while eating the Italian sub. He's got the mac and cheese bites. Tuesdays, this is Schlegel Day.
Oh,
It's
shoot.
$2 appetizer day. It's mac and cheese bites. So he's going to be here from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. tomorrow night until they can no longer make mac and cheese bites.
There you go.
I want them to run out of stock, but that won't ever happen.
You guys, that did happen one time. It
Did
was
it?
terrible. We called it the short, like it was the shortage. We made shirts.
The
for
housing crisis of
back.
2008.
It was insane. It was insane, and there was a little girl it was around Christmas time.
no.
There was a little girl on the
Around
radio
Christmas
too.
time.
Wow.
Yes, because they were asking kids what they wanted for Christmas, and a little girl goes, "All I want are my mac and cheese bites."
Oh.
Seriously,
perfect.
so it happened like a couple
They're
of years ago.
amazing.
This time of year too.
That's
Like,
real. That's real talk.
What's really nice is that Nicole Cox from Roosters changed that story because that was actually Schlegel. Not just
I want, I
it
want
sounds
my
a
mac
lot
and cheese
It
bites.
sounds a little better when you think of a 5-year-old girl. Please.
As opposed to a 39-year-old man. What do you want for Christmas? I just want my mac and cheese bites.
All right, yeah, so that's Nicole Cox with a great story to kick us
Yeah.
off. Doug Worthington,
Yo.
Justin Zwick, Michael Bennett, these guys back in the house. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
No other way to start it. Buckeye leaves. It's these games have been weird. Okay, I'll finally admit it after 3 in a row of them, with the first half being dominant and the second half getting a little strange. We have a lot of time to talk about that, but we have to, every week. Nicole gets us rolling with the Buckeye leaves. We'll all take our turn after that. Nicole, who caught your eye on Saturday for the Buckeyes? Who earned their helmet sticker for you?
Yes, so it was a different game in the sense that the Indiana defense definitely gave our offense a challenge.
Without a doubt.
And so, which also is such a compliment to Coach Day and Justin Fields of being able to change up the play so quickly and recognize what they're doing and realize, like, okay, we've just got to get it through the seam. Right. So that was a great time for Master Teague to shine. I thought I was very, very impressed with him this week. And my son was actually watching the game with us, and he's got his little set of notes that I brought today.
That's
They were the most
Okay.
precious little notes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And he had great little terms to go with everything. But Master Teague had the most rushing yards of his career, his season.
Career high, yep.
So 169 yards, and so that's where my Buckeye
And
lead
what
goes.
he wrote, and you showed me, we went through your son's notes beforehand. He was highlighting those broken tackles.
Breaks 2
and-
tackles, big rush. I mean, yeah, he's
That's
got
We
it.
got him.
1-yard scampers.
Yeah, 10-yard carry with
Because
2
I-
broken tackles. So Bronson, thank you for that.
Yeah,
job,
I think
Bronson.
that's great job.
We got to
Bronson.
bring him up here.
He's coming for my job now.
Get him a
already.
sippy cup, man. Get him
Those are more notes than I take at a game.
There you go.
I think he wound up. I can't remember the exact number, but I think Master Teague had like 157 yards after contact on Saturday.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
Are you ready?
That's what you want.
Are you
from
ready
him.
to say you
What
were
we've been
wrong?
waiting for.
absolutely. I mean,
I feel like we've been fighting this whole thing
You
with
guys
you
have fought it.
all season
Get him,
long.
Jay-Z.
and
Get him,
there's
Jay-Z.
no question. Like
Apologize.
he played. Remember how I told you?
Apologize.
I have done that to Master Teague last year. But it was actually after the Indiana game there on the road where I was like, hey, I just thought you were a short yardage guy, and he had that huge game and ran away from people, and he did that again on Saturday. So for the second year in a row, I guess I didn't learn my lesson. I am
There you go.
sorry. Jay-Z and Mike, you guys were obviously absolutely right.
I accept the apology.
yeah.
There you
And
go.
Nicole gives him the Buckeye leaf. It was well earned. The guy,
Well earned.
look,
It was a great game for him.
Trey Sermon
It was.
also ran the ball well.
It did look good.
But there was a reason that Master Teague was getting 25 carries in that game. He earned it. He was clearly getting into a rhythm. He was dominating. It's so weird with Schlegel over here on my side. Did you want the next Buckeye leave, or do you want?
Oh, my
I think we should go like
All
down
right,
to
Doug
Carolina.
can take it.
Okay, it was first and foremost, it was a game we got to watch all the way through, right? We didn't get bored. We got excited. Maybe we was actually drinking a little bit more than we should have, just with the aspect of what was going on. I'm going to go I'm going to go away from my defense. I'm going to go with Chris Olave. I mean, you can talk about Dontre Wilson, what he did, the 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, my bad. Garrett Wilson with the two touchdowns, but Olave was always where he needed to be. He was one of those safe havens for Fields, and he really needed him on some big plays when it came down to 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 4. Like, they gave that little hitch on the outside. He got like 41 yards. One of the biggest plays of the game, came up excited and was giving the team juice. It was flat in there, right? We got to always remember that. They didn't play last week. It's flat. So my guy getting, I think, 8 receptions for 102 yards. 4 of those receptions being first downs. I think it's not going to be like as highlighted as my guy number 5. Somebody should definitely take him. But I like what Olave did, even blocking down the field. He was doing like that trestle ball with energy. Everybody look at him like, man, is he big enough for the league? Like he was taking shots and he was getting up and putting the first down out. So I was excited for him.
Nicole actually was talking about Garrett Wilson because she has, I think, every single week and predicted.
I know,
when she
guys.
sent me in the text last week, it's going to be a big game for Garrett Wilson. So
It was.
She just decided that she was going to retire Garrett Wilson for a while.
Well, I get excited because, you know, he probably might not even be focusing on this goal that he could reach, but one more week of over 100 receiving yards, and so this was his 4th. He has his 5th, so then he'll break it at the 6th.
He'll tie the record this week, most likely. The game has to be played. And then Michigan State the next week. That'd be 6 straight 100-yard
Which
games.
is exciting for him. I mean, that's a big goal to reach and accomplish and break through. And so I just get excited for things like that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no doubt about
The
it.
game has to be
Jay-
played. That's scary. That's scary to say that.
Jay-Z,
Am I
you're
up
up.
next? My leaf, and this goes to a guy who really didn't do much else, I don't feel like, but Julian Fleming. I think that was a huge play. Him chasing down that interception in the third quarter when, that
Maurice.
could have been something that really changed how that second half went. And for him, a young guy, I mean, I don't know. When he saw that ball going there, he probably thought, what in the hell? What's he doing?
Yeah.
But then he didn't give up. And he chases him down. Boom. They're punching that ball out. And that's become huge this year. I feel like just people taking swings at the football, which is cool.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a lot of fumbles because of it. But, I think that was a huge play. So right then, my little group text, the guys are like, you got to give it to Fleming on that play right there alone. And I said, you know what? I do agree with that because
Well said.
we give them more opportunities in that second half, and we might be talking about a different game right now. So I think that was a huge play on a 3rd and 9, early or in the middle of the third quarter, and it could have been momentum.
Yeah. That momentum
So
was
there you
swinging
go, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Swinging.
Swing. So I really like Nicole's pick because I've been waiting for Teague to do what he did. So that was,
And then he just looks over
That
here
was
real
incredible.
casually. I mean,
but just for the sake of giving out Buckeye leaves, I'm going to break the rules and I'm going to pick the whole front 7 on the defense because that was another one. We had Teague. We were waiting for him to show up. We've been waiting for this front 7 to really establish themselves and do what they did. They held Indiana's offense to -1 rushing yard for the whole game. I get that, they torched us when it came to passing. Dude, it's a top 10 team. To make them one-dimensional from the jump and never let that slide, Indiana kept trying to go back to that. They kept trying to run the ball, and it just wasn't happening throughout the whole game. I think they got good pressure on Penix, too. He was getting the ball out quick. Those receivers were high pointing the ball. Wasn't much you could do about it from the front 7 perspective. But you saw the linebackers were covering receivers, covering tight ends. They were filling gaps. The D-line was getting pressure. I saw Togiai pushing people back into the quarterback space. I saw the DNs getting great rushes. I thought they played a complete game. It's a shame that the score didn't reflect it as much. You can always say, well, if they put up 500 yards passing, then get there faster as a defensive end or whatever. But, I thought they were active. I thought they were hustling. So I think everybody in that front 7 deserves a Buckeye.
I think they did everything they could without getting any a ton of sacks, right? Even when he held onto the ball a lot, it wasn't quick release. Like they were getting pressure. He was feeling that defensive line and those blitzes and things like that. But he was just doing a better job of getting rid of the ball and putting it on the money. So even 2 sacks, they created pressure. It was a good day for them, I think, and. The 500 yards is what it is. I think that goes more on the back end of things.
It's frustrating, but they did their job.
I think we'll come back to that. I'd be curious to get more
that's
thoughts
tough.
on the
That's
Rushman
tough.
from you two. We'll come back to that one
that's tough.
later on
I was
in
crying
the
about
show
that one.
because we got to get Schlegs in for his Buckeye League.
Schlegel.
He's pounding the table over here.
I was going to say Julian Fleming. I was going to say Master T because really that was the deal for me. I wanted to desperately say the linebackers because Tough Borland I thought played well. He only had 3 tackles.
Be more original.
Because you just said 7 people, front 7, took all of them.
Boy, I wonder where he learned that trick.
I like to do that too, just cover my bases with everybody.
Yeah.
But what you saw from Baron Browning, and the thing is, you really can't. I'll give it to Baron, and I'll say it. I'll say it for this reason. I think that when they scored with, I believe it was Ellis, he was man-to-man coverage. He's on the outside. He got caught up in the wash, but that's because you have him playing man-to-man on a running back that's the widest guy. So you also are supposed to have a safety help. I think that Hooker bit down on the one coming from his right. Should have been there on the outside. That's one. Then they had the long pass. But, again, I don't know if that was a coverage. I don't know whose mistake that was. But I thought, like, Barron and Pete and Tuff, the hits, and, again, early in the game, refereeing was terrible.
Very much
Of this game. I mean, they had Penix where the ball was definitely moving in his hand that they called an incomplete pass. The runner was definitely not down on the first hit by Baron Browning. Those are 2 turnovers inside their 25-yard line for our offense to go score in a short field.
Probably like 20 illegal picks.
100% all the time. So you take that all into consideration. I liked all that. I'm not going to give him my Buckeye leave.
So nobody's getting your Buckeye leaf now?
What an okey-doke that was.
Yeah,
I did not see that ending coming. No doubt about it.
I thought
that
somewhere in
was
the
a
middle
coach.
he
I'll
said
take the
that Baron
D-line.
Browning
You can take
That's
the
how the
Yeah,
coaches.
he just flipped
Yeah,
the
I just
script
flipped the
on us
script,
right
so I'm going
there.
to go with
yeah.
Master Teague.
Wow.
Okay.
He
Because
deserves them.
He deserves it. And here's why. Here's the thing. The reason that he deserves it, not the 169 yards, not the one of 150-something yards after contact, on the play that he scored, the big-time run, I think Bill tweeted it out, but there was a 6-yard run that he had early in that drive before he hit the 42-yarder where he was dead in the backfield and still got 6. Like, he always was able to fall forward and get a couple extra yards, and that really sustained the drive to allow him to hit the big one. So that's why his effort running the football, I think, is why he should get the Buckeye leaf this week.
Nicole, are you going to let that stand? He's trying to.
I copied
Everybody
it.
piggyback.
That's the
No,
biggest
I mean,
flattery.
He was
It was a
great.
perfect
And,
pick.
and I think we're all kind of sharing ideas. I feel like it was the first time we could see the offense in general, just all the players kind of working together as opposed to just Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and Justin Fields. You saw more of everyone, I felt, which was nice, which was exciting for the game. It made it different than the past couple games we've been watching.
To that point, I think this is, I mean, like you said, everybody was working together. If anything, the person who had a game that, wasn't to their standards
Here we go.
is our main man, Justin Fields. I mean, you had the whole offense that was picking up the slack of the guy who has been touted as infallible. And that's, that's just what we saw. He had a bad game. People have bad games. He's not.
They do.
He's
He's
not
human.
perfect. He's human, and that's just what happens. And we saw the running game pick up. We saw the O-line pick up. Receivers were consistent. Tight ends were consistent, and then the defense shut down the run. So we can talk about the DB some other time.
We will.
But
We will. I promise.
My agent number 1, he didn't have the effect and the allure that he normally is used to. Just looking at the press conference, you had some great questions for him. Like, he was really, really, like, emotional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was kind of a little bit distraught. He was a little bit teary-eyed, it seemed like. He was really impacted, and I feel like almost his ego got hit. So, like, Ryan Day is going to have, like, a great job to really don't drop the bike. Yeah, don't fumble it. But he's going to have a great job just cultivating, like, this guy's presence and character in the wave, because he took some big shots. He did some things that we're not used to, but at the end of the day, he still had a great game, and he's still a great player.
He is still
but now he's
phenomenal.
going to grow in, like, different other ways.
I'm glad you said that, Doug, because I was going to give Fields my Buckeye leaf this week anyway, because just try and think of some other quarterback that you've ever seen that could have – he was obviously struggling, Jay-Z, with the pressure and feeling it. He had 2 bad decisions. I think the other one, he admitted that he misread the safety. That ball still could have been completed, maybe if it was dry.
Yeah.
But if you have those mistakes and people are, it's three turnovers, like, you can't let that happen. Great quarterbacks don't. Well, the reason that you normally would bench a quarterback who threw 3 interceptions is because he can't still throw for 300 yards or run for 80 yards and account for 3 touchdowns and lead. He doesn't have the mental, fortitude intestinal fortitude to come back from that, and he did. And Doug, you said it after the game. He owned up.
Yeah.
Maybe this is an opportunity where Justin Fields gets knocked down a little bit and has a chance to take a learning lesson, because the only other interception in the regular season last year was on a trick play. You wrote it off. He was injured against Clemson. He still did enough for them to win that game. The mistake on the throw to Olave was not his. He doesn't have to bear the brunt of that. This is the first time that he comes out of a game and is like, I'm not the number 1 pick right now. That does hurt my Heisman Trophy chances. I don't think that's the way that's in his mind, but
it's a character
He's
building
hurt.
up.
Yeah,
It's a character
yeah.
building
didn't play
up.
a perfect game, and he came back and they still won against a top 10 opponent. I learned a lot more about Fields going through that because I don't expect it'll ever happen again.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
you
Joe.
didn't expect it to happen against Indiana either, right? I mean, it's a team that, granted, you got to give
Undefeated
the thing
team.
about
Number
Indiana
9
is
team.
we look at them because we are Ohio State guys, and we look
are.
at them as the Indiana of
Hoosiers.
what they are, or what they have been.
Who?
This is a defense that came in. They had 12 turnovers, I believe,
Yeah, they
in
did.
4 games. So they're a defense that was creating turnovers. They may not have been playing teams that are as good as they usually are,
No.
but they were able to do. So I think what it comes down to is they were better than we think they were. They were better than what Vegas thought they were.
Yep.
Because they were a 21-point dog, and Vegas usually isn't really that far off on games like that. I think they're just a better program. They're further along on the defensive side of things than we thought. It looked like they were just got them confused. I don't know. I don't even know if confused is the right word. I think that first one caught him off guard.
was
Right.
weird.
I think that was right away. I thought, all right, MMIH. He made his mind up in the huddle.
Yep.
He was trying to hit that same play again. Maybe a little bad ball. Safety was there. All right. But then it's just the defense kept after him, and then he's just like throwing balls, shot putting balls, and it's just like, what? That looked like some of my practice film back in the day, not Justin Fields. Like, what are you doing here, guy? But I think we just have to give Indiana more credit than we did going into that game. I think they were a good football
agree
team,
with
and I
that.
think they're going to probably win out. At the end of the year if they stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's Indiana.
Yeah.
Right, so you substitute that out for a Michigan or a Penn State or whatever blue blood, and then nobody's questioning.
No, we're
this.
going. If we play Michigan like that, and they have that kind of offense and that kind of team, like that's a big win.
So exactly. So I think it's the perception of where they were.
Yeah.
But you got a team, and here's the thing that we'll probably talk about in the next segment. But you got them down 28-7. We don't know how to finish people, right? Especially when you got a team that has talent now that is older, which is what they have, that has been developed, and they believe. Yep. Right? They believe they're the number 19th in the country. They believe in their head football coach. They know exactly what they do defensively, and that's bring pressure. And we also talked about how on our offensive line, we knew the pressure was going to come up the middle because we've allowed 7 sacks this year, all of which have been up the middle, and that's exactly what they did. They brought 3 straight up the gun on Justin Fields. And part of this day for him, since we're talking about him, it's a learning experience because you can't do everything. Sometimes it's just about doing your job, right? So the first one, it was cover 3. He didn't hit the guy in the seam, right? He was too far over to the right. That's on him. The ownership of throw it away or take the sack or whatever, not cause a turnover, that's on the other ones, right? So so now he knows that, but he also knows, hey, I am big and strong and I can evade the rush and get out of harm's way sometimes, but I can't rely upon that all the time, right? I have to be able to dissect quickly and say I'm either going to run it or I'm going to throw it away. That's the next step, and it's good to have that. Guess what? It's good to have it in week 4 because we forget. Everybody else is already playing 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
We're still in only week 4, and everybody likes to forget. Boston College took Clemson to the wire. Ole Miss took Alabama to the wire. Those were all early in the seasons. We're only in week 4.
Notre Dame played a real thriller against Louisville.
Louisville, 14-3.
12-7.
There you go. I mean, those are real things that everybody forgets against of top 4 teams, right? If they went what they went through, that's where we are right now. So it's a great top 10 win. Time to go on and
It's a great learning experience for him. He's a guy who thinks he can get out of anything, and maybe coming out of this game, you got to start picking and choosing your times when. All right, this one's got. I'm just throwing it out of bounds, get it past the line of scrimmage, incompletion. Instead of trying to be Superman, trying to keep that 11 for 11 going, right? Because that's been all the talk. Yep. Man, it's been crazy. It's a hell of a run. I mean, for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And then the pressure just.
But then you start thinking, I gotta. Well, first 2 passes, boom, right down the field, touchdown. All right. So he's in his head. He's like, man, this is gonna be all right. Next one. Oh, what?
Whoops.
Safety? Yeah. What happened there?
Well,
and then it's like almost pressing more because they were getting the pressure. He was maybe a little confused, and he's just maybe not seeing things as clearly and trying to make those plays. When in fact, you just gotta say, take the sack or throw it out of bounds. Just hold on to the ball. We can't let that happen.
Yeah. Well, and since we're kind of sharing Buckeye Leafs this week, I'm talking about Justin Fields.
Sharing is caring.
Group project.
I love that you said that, Austin, because I do so much admire him and the pressure that has been on him. The more perfect you get, the higher the expectations are.
Right.
And it was bound to happen. We are human. And for him to still end up having a decent game and to learn from this, that's what is.
Oh, a decent
there's
game.
something
For us at quarterbacks, that's a really good game.
It was great.
I mean,
it was great.
If you take out Haskins and Justin Fields, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, that's a hell of a game.
He didn't let it crush him. So, and I admire that that so much,
Yeah,
and that says so much about him as a person, and gives him a chance to grow and just learn from these experiences too. So he gets my Buckeye leaf too.
And as quarterbacks, right? I
mean,
quarterback with the quarterback with the most touchdown passes in the NFL and has the most interceptions. You know, I mean, that's what happens because you're not afraid to try and throw that ball in there. Sometimes it's going to get picked off, but you're going to have that confidence in yourself to keep throwing the ball downfield and keep going and keep going. Now you can't have those ones where you're falling down, shot putting it, but taking shots downfield is not a problem. As a quarterback, you forget about it. You got to go on the next play.
There you go.
Next play for him will be on Saturday against Illinois. We're going to talk a lot more about Indiana once we let Nicole go, but she is the master predictor so far this season.
There we go, master.
So she has to give us the score, and she has to tell us all about the gift cards, the anniversary cards, and everything that's going on at Roosters.
Yeah, we have a lot going on at Roosters this
month.
I love it.
Right now.
A lot going on. So my prediction, I say 56-21.
Okay.
I'm actually going to say 57-21.
Whoa.
57.
Whoa.
She's saying it because
It's
I
not
I
impossible.
dial it back, all right?
It's not
Because I-
impossible.
It's because I specifically told her not to, that she said it was going to be 57.
There you go.
As I was
Either way.
asking, like, I feel like this is good. Okay, yeah.
Gonna be
Like
like
it.
the water boy, like, oh my God, she's right. Look at the score.
We watched that this weekend.
57.
Field goals, a safety.
Look for a safety. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it can definitely happen. But Nicole, I mean, she almost got that 15 a couple weeks ago against
That's
Rutgers.
why I changed it, because I'm feeling that
All right.
again.
I like it. I like
Go with
it.
your gut.
It's gonna
Nobody,
get exposed.
if anybody has learned anything, it's don't listen to my
Yeah, do not listen to Austin Ward.
This year,
A Ward Sports.
I'm normally very good, but this year, it's pandemic 2020. I can't handle
Pandemic
it.
2020.
What else? So what's going on at Roosters before you go?
So
Nicole?
good news for pandemic 2020 is we just launched the gift card promotion, the holiday gift card promotion here, which is so nice. And you, for every $50 in gift card you buy, you get a $10 bonus buck. So it's like buy $50, get $10 free.
I like it. That's good.
And then we also have our anniversary cards, which I thought I brought one over here with me, but every time you dine with your receipt, you'll get one of our anniversary cards that are good in January and February for 20% off your entire meal.
Wow.
That's legit.
Jeez,
Yeah, every
20%.
time, like all of January, all of February,
awesome.
February, as a thank you. Like we call it, it's our birthday, but we want to give you the gift because it's just to kind of celebrate everyone that keeps us going.
There you
So
go. Well
Love it.
said.
Oh, we
Awesome.
got to get you something for your guys' birthday.
you guys come here, you wear our
We did.
gear,
We did.
you have our
See, now
food.
It's like,
Now
now I
Nicole's
feel
got-
bad. We got to think of something
Right,
for you.
right,
Oh,
right.
okay.
I feel official.
Yeah, you are.
Who,
You're
who,
official.
who do I got to know to get something like this?
That's the real
I mean,
night.
that's what I'm
I was
talking
so
about.
excited to wear it.
Just ask the guy behind you.
Yeah, I
He'll-
guess.
He'll take care of you. All right, Nicole, we're going to let Nicole get out of here. We're going to take a quick break. Schleg's going to eat. He's already
I already ate.
empty there, so-
Mac and cheese
Oh,
bites.
there's a whole
man.
nother basket right
Okay,
here.
good.
boy.
Bring him down here, man.
Pass
Let's
that,
go.
pass that over.
And we're going to be
Reload.
back on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. I actually got my hands on one of these Roosters
Yes.
birthday cards.
Looks so cute.
It is. I liked it.
I stole Nicole's, so I'm not going to give it back
Oh,
because
we'll take it from you, Austin.
that's mine. We're gonna
Arm wrestle.
Schleg's might steal it because that'll get him 20% off on $2
Thank you,
off.
buddy.
Man,
Mac and cheese
that'd be
bites on
really
Tuesday.
cheap
So
mac and
I'm
cheese
trying to
bites.
do the math.
Yeah.
So we got into that part of the show, and people are going to be waiting and wondering why we haven't talked about the secondary.
Ooh. Big six.
491 passing yards.
Bump it.
Mike, you did allude to this a little bit. I really think that the defensive line, the front seven, but I think they got pressure on over half of the snaps. I think Pro Football Focus says 54%.
They were cooking.
That's really what, just because he didn't get a number of sacks, like Larry Johnson, you know this, he's not going to evaluate you solely on if you got a sack or not. So I think we put that aside. I think that the front seven is fine, the pass rush is fine. The secondary, I don't really understand what is happening. And Ryan Day talked about it after the game, and Schlegs, you can talk about this more, but you got to evaluate the personnel.
For sure.
Then you evaluate the scheme.
Yep.
And then you evaluate the way you're coaching the scheme.
Yep.
So only one of those is really specific to a conversation that has been popular about Marcus Hooker, Marcus Williamson, some errors that have happened there, even Sean Wade at times losing a couple matchups. So I don't know. It's probably part of all three of those things.
Yep.
but you have to address it because you can't be worse than 491 passing yards.
No, it's bumpy because it's Ohio State, right? So that's why we always talk about you want to run the football and stop the run. Offensively, I think we all look better when we are able to run the football. And we've seen that, right? We've been able to run the football effectively. When you rush for over 200 yards in a game, you're running the football. It doesn't look like we saw it in years past because Master Teague is not J.K. Dobbins, nor do we. I mean, we might want him to be, but that's just not him. And he's also 6 months off of a Achilles tendon, so pump the brakes, okay? Right. But he was very effective. Justin Fields was effective when he decided to run. Trey Sermon was effective when he did run. 307 yards rushing the football sets up everything for our offense. Defensively, what do you want to do? You want to make somebody one-dimensional. -1 yards rushing is one-dimensional.
Yeah.
The only way they can, and that's the thing though, the only way they can run, that they can move the football is through the air. I thought earlier in the game, when we really did affect them, was when we brought pressure. Now when you're up so much and it's 28-7, you start to play back, and you start to play some man, or a little bit of man and zone, and it's kind of like he was able to just throw it up, because that's what we also knew what he was going to do. You have big receivers, right? Hey, Freifogel, we're just going to throw the ball up, and he won that matchup. Yeah. Then there was some missed tackles. Then there were some communication errors, and they all just kind of build upon each other, and then you have 490-something yards passing. I think it goes into having the one guy that we always felt on the defensive line that's going to go get the sack. And it's also who on the defense, because of this, who on the defense is going to step up and make the play. Right. And the play that I talk about is the 4th and 10 when it was 35-14 or 42-28?
42-28, I think was their last.
Because that was the play, right? Like right there, you stop them, you're going to go up 49-28 potentially, and it's game over. But it's really been the tale of two halves. I think we start out really hot, and then for some reason – we either don't bring the juice out in the second half or we get confused and complacent. I don't know what it is, but I do know the coaches know. And so they're going to play the guys. That's why they get paid. Now, you got to remember, these dudes give up their entire livelihood to coach ball. Yeah. Like, they're putting the people out there that they feel are the best, and they're not. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to make a switch in the middle of the game to put somebody that they don't believe in to be able to go set them up for failure. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen. It will happen during practice this week, and you will probably see some splitting time and switching because you're going to have to get guys ready if that's what they want to see, if that's what it came to as evaluating the process. Is it scheme? Is it effort from a pursuit? Or is it the player? Right? And they're going to go through all those things to talk it out as a defense. The good thing is, again, it's week 4.
And I think part of it, I'll just throw this in there because
you guys keep going.
Getting a lot of this about, like, and I've said it myself, at what point, if that's as bad as it can be, do you not look at Ronnie Hickman at safety or Bryson Shaw or Lathan Ransom, or if you're looking at the slot corner, which Josh Proctor, when he's been there, I thought has been very good. That's probably where he should stay. With that, if you move him, you create another problem. But Legend Cavazos or Ryan Watts at corner, at what point do you need to get them out there? And I'm trying to, tap the brakes myself. Normally you would find that out in September. You'd play non-conference games.
They did find it out, right? You say at what point? I'm sure they have thought about it. Like, if you're struggling at the secondary, like Schlegel has said, those guys that are on that field are on that field for a reason. It's because those guys that we want to see more of are not getting it done in practice. And to Schlegel, to you guys' point, I don't think it's a scheme thing. From what I've seen, it didn't look like the guys were inherently out of position. It didn't look like it was mass confusion. It looked like it was a lack of discipline, like Schlegel was saying later in the game. Right. And then our playmaker, our best DB, is consistently getting beat by the other team's best receivers. So Sean Wade is our best DB. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Whatever he's going to go in the draft or wherever he ranks amongst the nation's DBs, I'm sure that's all up for debate. He's Ohio State's best cover corner. If he can't win those matchups against these other teams' best receivers, then we're going to have a hard time. And I think especially against Penn State and especially against Indiana, we're seeing those jump balls. He's not getting them. We're seeing those quick routes, those quick breaks. He's not getting them. He had a pick 6, which makes us feel a little bit better because he's an athlete. Yeah. He's talented. He's going to make plays from time to time. But when your best guy is not able to shut down the opponent's best guy, then inherently you're going to lose those matchups. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, when you have more reels with the guy catching the ball on you than you do of you breaking up a pass or you being, he broke up the one. and I've been tough on him, this year and with my buddies, and Jay-Z, you gotta like that one, huh? And I look at the replay, I'm like, well, that was a bad ball by the quarterback, and the receiver lost his balance. That's the only reason he was able to jump up and knock the ball down, and then the next play, I think you got to catch on him. It's just you come back and you expect to be, we're just lucky. Ohio State fans are just lucky because we've done this year in and year out, and it's always been, don't worry about that guy out there. He's on an island. He can cover him.
Yeah.
That's where, let's get these guys help. We're not that way this year. And so, I don't know if you start doubling guys on the outside and just say, well, we don't expect him to be a lockdown corner. We got to change our whole philosophy up, or, we got to change up who we're helping or that sort of thing. But
I feel like when you have a mixture of both ends of a spectrum, I feel like the defensive line, even though we say they did well, they shut them down as far as the run. When it comes down to the pedigree that we've been used to have only one sack in that room, Larry Johnson is going to talk about that whole week. You got there, you almost got there, but you didn't get there. There's a standard, and we understand that as far as the BIA, that they've been the best in the best in the air, whatever.
Best in America.
Best in America.
Best in America, my bad, right? So when it comes down to it,
the okayest in America.
What they've been able to do, even in the league right now, even when you turn on the thing of what Malcolm Jenkins is doing, even when it comes down to Lattimore and things of that nature, Ward and things of that nature, they've been shut down. Wade, it feels good. My mom always say something nice about somebody, like you said. The interception was really good, was really athletic. He broke super well. He looked like a gazelle. He got there so fast, and it was a big turning point in the game. It gave us a little bit more cushion. We can breathe a little bit. But when it comes down to it, you're not even always guarding the best man out there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're not. Sevyn Banks got railroaded. It was kind of sad. He's not known to being the best cornerback. This is the first time we're really seeing him so much, and we seeing him getting mossed left and right. So when it comes down to it, who are you? You know what I mean? What are we trying to do? Who are we going to become? Do we change a little bit of the back end? Do we put a little bit more zone? Do we put a little bit more blitz? The one time we got the other sack, it was through a blitz. So how do we do that? Indiana showed right up the middle, looked really, really good. Why couldn't we, being a silver bullets defense that we so returned to be, why couldn't we get that same action? I was a little bit
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I like what you're saying. I think this year is so different for our defense because usually, and it was something I wanted to say when you were talking was usually the best DB at Ohio State on Ohio State's team is also probably the best DB in the country. Well and the best defensive lineman on Ohio State's team is the best defensive lineman in the country. That's been consistent now for 4 or 5 years. For a while. Yeah. Right. Since Joey. And so that's not the reality. And I think that it's frustrating because that's what the defense wants to be. Those Silver Bullets, they want to be seen as that prestigious Silver Bullets crew. They need to change their reality to be a complete unit. You don't have that savior out there. You all need to be that savior. Now, you got leaders. You got talent. That's not the problem. It's not like we're saying, okay, this is a year of just untalented people. It's just you don't have those freaks on the squad anymore. Yep. So as a DB room, you guys got to say, hey, man, we can't have the safety come try to tackle a scrambling quarterback. Stay your ass in your position and play your rules. Be disciplined. You need to have that hustle and that discipline when you don't have those just all-world playmakers.
And I'm going to say that you got to look at this from, a 30,000-foot view, and I am not making any type of excuses whatsoever. But you got a new defensive coordinator coming in, co-defensive coordinator in Kerry Combs, right? Yep. Jeff Hafley leaves. It was kind of him and Greg Madison working together as to what this is. Then you lose basically everybody in your entire secondary. You lose Chase Young, number 2 overall pick in the draft. You got all your linebackers now. Matter of fact, Davon Hamilton, gone. He's playing well for Jacksonville. Yeah. So you got NFL talent out the building, right? First-round draft picks. We're seeing Arnett and Okudah playing. We're seeing Fuller in L.A. We're going to see him tonight on Monday Night Football. That being said, so you got Kerry Combs, young guys coming in. You completely lost the opportunity not only for development, but for what is the identity of this defense. And that's the thing. Year to year, it's always going to be different, predicated upon the personnel in which you have to run it. And if you don't necessarily have that quote-unquote number 1 dog that can go out there and just sack the quarterback on his own or take 2 to free up another guy, right? Then it's going to come through a zone pressure, fire zone defense, right? So especially when you know what it is. We believe that in 3rd and long or 4th and long, right, those down in distances, right, at the end of the game, we're going to apply pressure because we know you have to get it out of your hand fast, and we're going to rally to the football and make an open field tackle for less than 7 to 10 yards. And that's just what we're going to do. We ran a ton of fire zone pressure. Matter of fact, in 2005, we played a ton of nickel. But that was what the personnel allotted for. Nobody really realized that, but we wanted to have Bobby rush off the passer, and we had Dante Whitner, who played safety but was our star, right? So he was really kind of out of position, but we needed him there because it made our defense better of what he was able to do, blitzing and also being able to play the run from the star position. So it's like, really could Sean Wade's position be the slot corner, and there's somebody else that's better? They're going to all look at all these different things, but they didn't have the time to evaluate the personnel, to really think what is the scheme that needs to surround them with, and we're doing it on the fly. And that's why I'm not worried about it, because you just want to go get the wins.
Got to get the wins.
The other complication with that, Schlegs, is if we're now talking about
and they've been talking about this the entire time.
But let's just take your scenario right there.
Go ahead.
You're moving Sean Wade back inside. Well, you could do that if you had Cameron Brown still. And again, this is not to make an excuse. It's just a stating of the facts.
We're just talking
Cameron Brown
what's out there.
had played more football than anybody else in that secondary other than Sean Wade.
Right.
And so we didn't really pay too much attention to it because in the
To
first
the
game
loss.
and a half,
Yeah.
he wasn't playing a ton. He was the third guy in, and Seven Banks and Sean Wade. You thought, okay, that's going to be fine. They still have other guys that can play, but you're adding on top of that. So the Cameron Brown injury has proven to be a much bigger deal than maybe it seemed at the time. Jocelyn Went and Amir Reap wrote their own ticket out of the program and made a huge mistake, and that the Ohio State is also paying for what they did in February. That's 3 experienced players that are missing from the secondary on top of Jordan Fuller, Damon Arnett, and Jeff Okudah. So that's 6 experienced football players that are not in that secondary anymore.
That's crazy.
It's I guess
it is what it is, though. We're not making excuses. It's just everybody has to understand, like, there is no quick fix. It's not we're just going to throw this guy in there, we're just going to go do that, and we're going to go do this. No, it's not. I mean, some of the things were alignment, assignment, alerts, and adjustments. Just do your job, right? When you're playing man coverage, it's also on coaches knowing, hey, they're going to play man beaters, and if they're constantly seeing Baron Browning or Pete Warner covering a tight end or a running back, like, the hardest thing for them to do is play man on the outside guy, run through the crap, right, and run over the middle. Well, guess what? I got to have my safety that's there. And if you're going to be my rat hole player, know the dude you got to help, right? Like, if that was me, I'm like, look, bro, help me, all right? If he goes inside, I want you to come down, and then I'll pack it back, right? And I'll cover for you. Like, that's just how it works. But that comes through trials and live bullets all the time, of which we didn't get that last week. I mean, maybe even versus Maryland, we would have got exposed a little bit to then work it out. Yep. But that's, again, it's the beauty. It's not about how we're starting. It's about how we're going to finish. And as a defense, if you look in the first half, I think it was like 57% completion percentage in the first half to like 68% in the second half. 8 touchdowns in the second half versus like 3 in the first half. Like, it's absolutely crazy talk what they do in the first. So what's the disconnect between the first and the second? Is it adjustments from us or adjustments that they're doing and we're not able to adjust? Like, you have to look at this entire thing from a big picture and say, is it a personnel? Is it a scheme? What is it? I don't know.
Is it just juice?
And some dudes, need to step up.
You're coming back out into the second half where you're blowing this team out already. I mean, we went out, scored 35-7, beginning of the third quarter. Yep. Those usually turn into 55-10. It's just
coming out too.
This year, it seems, I don't know if it's no fans in the stands, no
it's probably huge
extra juice, but I mean, it's like, all right, man, we're smashing these cats. All right, we got to come back out here. It's cold and rainy. This sucks. Right. Oh crap, we got a game. Like, it happens just like that. I think that's something that is lost on people, them just having blowouts and coming back out in that second half. Now, you do it enough weeks in a row, you got to get that fixed and figure that out. But, another part we don't really – I mean, we have talked about a little bit, but I bet if you ask those cornerbacks, what do you think? Last year our DBs last year they had Chase Young coming off the edge.
Right.
Last year they had these guys in the league right now who are doing really well, creating pressure, and like you talked about, Chase would get double teamed, opening it up for somebody else to go in and get the pressure. Maybe that same pressure isn't there, so it's going to be harder on a secondary, right? I mean, it's just.
I pray to God they don't have that mentality.
Well,
if you're at Ohio State as a DB,
but you know how it goes.
I would have said the same thing.
You know how it goes when you're playing. They're like, man,
I had a Bradley Roby to shut people down, give me more time to get to the quarterback. They need to make their own identity, man. These guys. I mean, I think that's our thing. Is like. They need their own identity. They need to have that. You need to take that ownership, take that pride at being at Ohio State. Maybe, I felt like everybody here understands or went to Ohio State because of the history of Ohio State, because of the greatness of Ohio State, and wanted to add to that, wanted to build to that and have your name be part of that greatness. And for these DBs, they're finding their identity. This whole defense, the D-line, like you said, they don't have a Chase Young or a Joey Bosa or whoever to go win the game for them. They need to find a way to add to the legacy of Ohio State. And I think, like you guys have said, this was week 4.
Yeah.
So,
that's the thing,
this is a week 4 with a new defense. But these DBs, man, like, at some point you need to look up and somebody in that DB room, I don't know who the leader is, has to say, listen, all right, let's be honest with each other. Which one of you is Jeff Okudah? Which one of you is Fuller? Which one of you is Malik Hooker?
Right.
None of you. So we need to be as perfect as we can be at the stuff we can control. Don't if you're a safety, play your route. Understand who you need to help. If you're a cornerback, play outside in or play inside. Whatever you're supposed to do your job. Let those trust in your linemen to go rush the quarterback because they definitely aren't going to go win in 1.5 seconds. But those guys are cooking. They're getting better week in and week out, and we're seeing them as a unit, and I think that's because they're understanding their role, and they have to work together if they want production.
And the coaches may have to say, we don't have the Jeff Okudahs, this, that, and the other, and say, all right, how do we – in turn, we thought maybe Shaun Wade was going to be one of those guys. 4 games in, we're not feeling that. How do we rally around those guys to put them in the best spots and change?
I wonder, Doug and Schlegel, you can talk about this, but it felt like, at least early in games, because they've been so dominant, a lot of that is coming through blitz packages and creativity because the linebacking unit has been probably the strongest of the team. Like, Baron Browning, it can get to he was playing, I think, at the most energetic level of his career on Saturday.
I thought he played fantastic.
He did everything, but you know that you can use him to supplement the pass rush because we've talked about in his career, would he be better playing defensive end? Is that where he could help?
Right.
Maybe that's if you're looking for other substitution packages that you want to install, maybe it does include Baron Browning, on the edge. I don't know. That's just something that's been talked about before, but that's one of the solutions.
Right. When it comes down to it, we have to be super happy that we're 4-0. Right? We get to talk about all this madness,
no doubt.
all of this wildness. It
really
we got a
doesn't sound
victory.
like it, right?
Right? It doesn't. It feels kind of weird. Like, where's my rushman? Where's my defensive line? Now, don't get me wrong. I had about 6 career sacks. I wasn't the guy that you leaned on in that area. But at the end of the day, there's always been somebody that could step up, and we're going to find that. I remember when Cameron Hayward, our freshman year, he was a freshman All-American, and next year he had a little bit of tough times. I remember at USC, we all had a tough time. And then him, even the guys from Purdue and things talking mess, like, it gets in your head. These guys got to just go out there and play football. When you have Cooper, he actually had a lot of great pressure, a lot of great energy in the beginning of that first half. He was on one. I was excited for him. But then guess what? You die out. You get tired. There's no fans in the stadium. These guys are going through something that I can't really imagine, and I can appreciate that they're, like, kind of learning on the fly. Wade coming back, having to fill the shoes of all those great guys, it is tough knowing what that first-round draft pick kind of gets you. It is tough to know that, these guys have gone on and did things in the NFL. But at the end of the day, young fella, just go out there and play. We got football back. You came back. You got a great matchup in Illinois this coming up week to get some confidence, to really get some things right. The coaching staff got all the fuel that they need to go ahead and talk about, hey, we can't have this type of mistake again. We can't have our eyes back in the backfield. We can't do somebody else's job. Do your 111th, and we can play some Buckeye football.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing that they have to do is they got to do their job, and they got to go to practice, and they got to play with a chip on their shoulder.
Right.
And it's not for anything to prove to us, right? We don't mean nothing. I mean, we just support them, right? But it's the chip, and Mick always said this: if I have nothing to prove, I'll never improve. Well, you know what? You do have something to prove within your own room and within your own unit, right? And that is the defensive side of the ball that you're going to hold up your end of the bargain. And so you need to go out there and have the practice habits that are worthy and deserving of wearing the silver bullets, because that's where it all starts. Listen, you got the very best in the wide receiver core in the country that you get to go against on a weekly basis. How are you competing? Are you have competitive excellence versus those guys? And then when you get the scout team look, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Like, are you not trying to jump and make plays and leave your buddy out to dry? That all goes with the practice habits, of which we know when you have a lot of young guys, it's all about the practice habits. When you got mature dudes that walk out there and practice like a pro, and you're just like, man, that Terry McLaurin, he gets it. Like, he's just a pro, and he's only a junior, right? Like, he sees the entire thing. That's what they got to do, but it starts in practice and making practice that much more difficult for them to go out there. I can't wait to watch it versus Illinois. I mean, honestly, I just like watching because football is a great game to where you can see somebody be down and people ridicule them, and every week they get an opportunity to go back to work and come out and have a great day. And then guess what? People are going to praise you, and you just shut the door because you're not doing it for Ohio State fans. You're not doing it for you're doing it for your teammates because you're the ones that you're spilling it for in the first place. They're the only ones that they care about. Right, so I expect them to play significantly better. I expect the coaches to go to work and put them in the right position to succeed this week.
Just go right into the prediction then. Let's go.
I don't know, 50, let's see, what is it? 52.
Since it's over there.
59.
It's always windy.
59-17.
59-17.
So it's always windy over there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the weather looks like. Is it in Champaign?
Yeah, it's in Champaign.
I'm very excited
that's
to
cold
make
out
They
there.
sell paint there.
this week. Very
Is it
excited.
raining?
Nice.
It's not supposed to rain. I think it's supposed to be 43 and sunny.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
You know the
That's-
wind will blow.
The wind's gonna blow.
I don't have to say it. The
Did I
game
say
is at
59?
You said 59.
You did
Here he
say
goes.
59.
Break the sixes, Schlegs.
I mean, we can't make a field goal.
You don't need them.
56.
56.
Wow.
Okay. Doug,
17.
Okay.
Got they'll make the field goal.
Chip shot.
Chip shot. There you go. I'm going to go Buckeyes, the good guys, 47. I think we'll get to 47. And then I think we'll hold them to 10. Okay. I think we'll almost have a shutout. I think some guys that make some, and then they'll have something at the end pretty insignificant. But, yeah, 47-10.
47-10.
I like that. I like that better than mine.
51-17.
I like
17s
that
are
too.
good.
Wicked to the point.
63-3. Illinois is poo-poo.
Poo-poo. There you go.
But
I
like
think
the three.
I think Ohio State has been tested in different ways over these last 4 games.
I think there's a new test this week, though.
Who the hell wants to play in
Illinois? The freshman quarterback who had about 200 yards rushing a couple weeks ago.
We've
Was it last
experienced
week
that
or
against
2 weeks ago?
Nebraska. I think we've solved
that's
those
not
problems.
the same.
We're gonna blow it. We're
We'll
gonna
see.
blow Illinois out. I mean, you got everybody down Ohio State.
I love it.
I'm an eternal optimist with Ohio
I know,
State.
me too.
There you go.
Eternal optimist, but like
I mean, I said 51-17. I didn't think we were going to get beat by them.
you mentioned it briefly earlier. Like, I think one of the biggest factors in this is Ohio State guys came to play for 100,000 fans,
You're right about that.
and a lot of these smaller teams,
Are used to
they
this.
just like playing football. So
They're used to just having an empty stadium because nobody comes to them.
So how many points of a swing is that when you can't embarrass somebody in front of their fans, or you can't hype yourself up in front of your fans? But I still think we're going to beat the brakes off of Illinois.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm glad that Mike did that. So because this week I don't want to have the most outrageous prediction.
Yeah, you're going to leave that to Mike
But
this
it
week?
was still going to be a big spread.
Yeah.
But like I'm trying to be better.
It's
Okay,
like a
and
28.
not
It's a
Is
28
Illinois all of a
point
sudden
spread,
good?
isn't it?
No,
Didn't they
they're
get
not.
whooped by Wisconsin, and
They're not.
Wisconsin lost to Northwestern?
They whooped up
What are
on
we talking
Nebraska.
about?
Somehow they beat Nebraska.
Illinois did?
Yeah, bad.
Just bad.
40
by like,
something to 21.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
playing too nice of a golf course to realize
Oh,
what
was that
happened
last
over the
week?
weekend. But
Hey, 63-3.
Oh, where were you playing?
3.
He was playing with
I
Beans.
stand by
Oh,
it.
snap.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so
Jeez.
while
beautiful.
I was covering
Yeah, gosh.
52, they are going to make a field goal because they got to try it. If Habio is hurt,
Yeah, we got to
you
see
can't
what we
just go,
got, right?
Let
Yeah,
Seibert at least try one.
keep
That was, I
trying.
think, the most. That's the first time that Ryan Day's made like an in-game decision that I was really like, whoa, what happened
Gotta
there?
kick that, right?
Got to kick that one. I think that you got to try because you're going to play a close game at some
Yeah,
point.
you're going to
if
need
you're gonna
that.
win.
For sure.
You're going to need
Is
that feeling
Hybill
for that
out
kicker.
for the year? Or like
No,
what?
it's,
like a
but it's
hamstring?
just a groin. He has a groin problem. We don't know.
Hydrate.
Kickers.
Get better.
Hydrate,
Hydrate.
bend your knees,
Yep.
and stretch.
Vitamin C.
But
Yeah.
52-6 will be my prediction.
I'm gonna go 63-10.
Oh, he's
Oh,
gonna-
he's
I didn't know
upping
they
it
put
over-
up 45 on
Hold
somebody.
on
What the
now.
hell
Hold
are we
on
talking
now.
about?
What is
I
this?
like that 10. That 10 was good. You know how it happens
Your point
sometimes.
you made a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, man, all right.
What did I say?
Everybody's like, yeah.
3 to 28.
Schleg's got a weather update, and then he changed.
Did I
There we
say
go.
59?
Mike got some new information when he
You went 56, Schlegs, because you said we're not going to kick the field goal.
Hey, this is
All right,
Lettermen
you
Row
went down
about
to
Ohio
56.
State, not
59.
Illinois.
Yeah.
59.
Hey, it's a
59.
fun casual joint. Fun
47-10,
casual.
man.
Oh, well, you don't. You only
47-10,
get
let me
you only
check
get
in.
one mulligan.
13.
I can't even remember.
They all changed it. I'm sticking by the
14,
47-10.
17.
We don't get
59.
we don't get
17.
two mulligans
59,
out here.
17.
51-17. You took my 17.
I gotta
That's
order
what you
shrimp.
did.
Where the hell-
You
where
like
the
that
shrimp at?
17.
It's a
I think
strong
I
bit. It's
said
a strong
Yeah,
bit.
17 is a good number.
17-10.
I don't know.
6 though. 6 is.
James was like talking trash about my pick on there. He's like, "This is a top 10 matchup." What did I say? 52-21 last week,
Yeah.
or 52-20, and it would have been. I mean,
They were
like,
on the way. It was 35.
If only everything would have gone differently.
no,
Yeah.
if
If only the second half would not have happened.
Yeah, it'd have
The
been
way it
perfect. But you know what? But here's the thing, though.
Vegas will pay out for that.
We make these predictions because we're again eternal optimists,
Yeah.
and we believe that Ohio State can be to where we're actually predicting that they can because we see the talent, we see what they're capable of. So that's why we do it. Because I don't know. I mean,
You just never know who's going to
Yeah,
show
I
up
have
that
no
day.
clue.
Well,
Go Bucks.
That second half.
It's the second half. You know what, though?
It's all
I mean,
about
that's
the
what
second
we
half.
All right,
Yeah.
here's what I'm going to do.
All
From
right,
now
what are you
on,
doing?
we're just going to bring in the first half spreads. We're just going to begin.
I like
safe.
that. Yeah.
Because that is a guaranteed Buckeyes cover every single
35 to
time.
3.
Yeah.
Second
We come out
half,
strong.
we'll just start ignoring them and not talk. Well, they give us a lot to talk about for a fun, casual
This is fun.
conversation. Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters every week. Appreciate Anthony Schlegel, Doug Worthington, Justin Zwick, Michael Bennett, Nicole Cox again for all their insight and their entertainment. Great time, great
Energy.
stuff from these guys. I'm just Austin Ward. We'll see you next week after Ohio State at Illinois. Bye.
Peace.